3D Angel Wings Acrylic Nailer Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be doing a design that was requested a whole bunch of times last year. This is a very simple angel wing design. Last year I made an angel that was a 4D angel that had a spring underneath that when you squeezed it together her wings moved. It is one of the most difficult designs I have ever done in my life. It was one that took so much thought, and it took me months to figure out how to do this one because I slept on it and I worked and I tried to figure it out. And so now I'm making one that's much easier, which is just more simple and quicker. Like I said, it was requested all kinds of times on my angel wing video from a year ago. Can you make one that's not so difficult? So here it is. I hope you guys like it, especially if you're someone that was looking at it last year. I'll put a link to the 41 in the description box below if you're curious. It's one of my absolute favorite designs. I love it, and like I said, it took me months to make, so I was really proud of it. I hope you guys check that out if you haven't seen it, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future holiday designs and other designs as well. So to begin with, I wanted, just like last year's video, I kind of kept it with the same theme. I did a very dark blue glittery background. This is one of my absolute favorite acrylics. It's just gorgeous. I love glitter. I think glitter just lends itself to the holidays and to this season so well. Everyone loves, I just had a client that in the salon that had super decked out glittery nails and toes, and she said, you know, I never have done glitter in my life like this. This is insane. But it's the holidays, so you gotta do glitter. So I did a very glittery dark blue background. I think that goes very well with the bright white wings. Ooh, that's a hard one to say. And then after I have that in place, I'm going to be encasing the nail with a layer of clear acrylic. This is where all the strength is going to come in. Plus, anytime you use glitter in your background, you really want to have clear on top of it because the glitter is very easily ruined when you've got glitter, or when you file it. When glitter's involved, filing is just a difficult procedure. So if you put that clear acrylic on top of it, it's like a little file guard and it really helps you out. So now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be filing this nail, so I'm going to be filing it first with a very coarse bit to remove any lumps, bumps, and imperfections, as I always used to say. But I'm just going to file it just to make sure that it's nice and smooth and everything looks good and it's thin at the cuticle and thin at the tip. And then go over it with a much finer bit that is really just kind of like a buffer bit, and I'm just going to be going over it to make sure that the surface of the nail is really nice and smooth and has kind of a velvety texture to it. And I also like to use this bit to kind of clean up my free edge some, because it works so well. I just discovered that. It's kind of a happy accident. So anyways, now I'm going to be applying a layer of gel sealer over the top of the entire thing and throwing that into my lamp to cure. So now on a piece of paper, any piece of paper, I'm using a pink post-it, I'm going to be drawing out the shape of my angel wings. So I first drew one of them, kind of perfected it, made sure it looked good for the length of the nail, and then I'm going to try to match it as closely as I can next to it. Don't mind the fact that this is a used post-it note. I have a different project that I just finished up with little details on the other side, but just make sure you got your two angel wings in there. Apparently this is the post-it note for wings. I've got a butterfly wing on the other side. So there you go. And then set a nail form backing over the top of it, and then I'm going to be with white acrylic sculpting out my angel wings. So I just kind of did it section by section, even though at this particular point you can't see the much definition between them, but just kind of go along with it and do it in the 3 segments just because it kind of, I don't know, it helps you out, especially since on the one edge there's kind of like those little bumps that, the little bumps in the sections, but then just sculpt them down, and then right after you finish one of them, go ahead and immediately start the other one, because, you know, I guess it depends on the kind of monomer you're using and how fast you sculpt and the temperature in the room and all sorts of things, but chances are it'll kind of time out pretty well that by the time you finish sculpting the other one, the first one you did will be ready to pick up and put on the nail. Now, if you're kind of worried about it setting too fast, you can just do one at a time too. I mean, that's fine. So I've got the second one pretty much sculpted now, and then the first one, like I said, is matte, and I can slide my brush underneath it pretty well, pick it up, and then I'm going to be placing it on the nail. So I'm just going to set it down on there, and I don't want it to kind of wrap around the side. I want it to stay where it's sticking up quite a bit, but I'm just going to get it set in place just like that, and then I'm going to see if the other one's ready. Other one's not quite ready, so I'm just going to kind of play with that one for a second just because I've got nothing else to do. And then that other wing should be pretty good, so you can go ahead and pick up the other one and set it down right next to the first one on the nail. And there you have it. That one is also ready. So then I'm going to go back and forth from wing to wing. So I'm going to do the bottom section on the first wing and then do the bottom section on the second wing and add another layer of white acrylic over the top of it. This is, when you first sculpt these, they're so thin and they've got no texture on them at all. So what we're doing right now is we're adding some thickness and some strength as well as putting in the texture. So add that layer of acrylic over the top of it, and then with the tip of your brush, carve out the different feathers. So it's basically just drawing little lines through the acrylic. So just add the acrylic down and then go line, 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 line. Very easy to do, and it adds so much very simple detail. On the other angel wing video that I did, on each angel wing, I individually took teeny tiny beads of white acrylic and I sculpted each feather. I decided I was making it easier on myself this year, and while I don't think it's not quite as detailed looking, I think it looks fantastic and it's so much faster. So, you know, you kind of have to choose what you want. But like I said, definitely check out that other video if you missed it. I'll put a link to it in the description box below. And then I'm going to go back and forth, first on the first one, then the second one, and add the second layer of feathers. Now, when you do the second layer of feathers, kind of orient the lines ever so slightly differently. That way it'll kind of differentiate between the two rows. So then, just like before, do one side and then go back through and do the other side with these little feather lines. Like I said before, this is so quick to do and so easy to do that it takes almost no time flat. For the last row though, it's going to be slightly different as far as how you make the feather texture. So do the same thing, add that first layer of acrylic down, that starts out the same, but then go through and right at the shoulder area, just use a kind of a poking motion to poke in the little shoulder feathers that are much smaller, because they're not like these full flight feathers like the rest of them. They're just little fluffy feathers. So do that, just kind of poke it. Sounds kind of weird, but just go ahead and take the tip of your brush and just jab it a whole bunch of times to create that little bumpiness that it would have right there. And then do the same thing on the other side. On the first one, I did the poking first and then carved out the rest of the feathers. And then on the second one, I did the either way. I decided I would try to figure out which way I thought worked better. And frankly, it doesn't really matter. So you can do it either way you want. Then using very, very wet gold acrylic, so this is mostly monomer, I'm going to take a little wash and I'm going to add a little bit of color at the top of each section of feathers. So just right underneath, like the bump of the next one above it, add just a teeny bit of this gold. You don't really want to look at it and think gold, you just want it to have a little bit of shading on it. Then with some builder gel, I'm going to apply a little bit beneath the wings, kind of between and beneath them, and then a little dab above it. And then I've got these awesome feather studs that are gold, so I put one of those between the wings and then two studs, one above and one below them. And then I'm going to be highlighting the edge or the tip of each feather with just a touch of white paint just to kind of brighten them up. And this is going to add a little bit more of that depth to them as well. So like I said, or like I've been saying, so easy to do, so quick to do, and just kind of fun. The details in here are just so, they look like it takes you so much longer than it does. And now I'm going to be applying a layer of a matte top coat over the wings, and you are all set. I absolutely love these. I don't know actually design-wise which I like better, this year's or last year's, so check them both out. And please share recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I would love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!